changing my voice. I'm not gay. There's a bunch of LGBT people working with other people to try to reduce my appeal. America is very much a racist nation that doesn't care about doing the right thing. Very few people here care to a significant degree about doing the right thing. That has been established firmly in recent years. Now let's talk about believability. If I was to tell you that I'm a brain surgeon's son, the son of 2 doctors, my father's not just a brain surgeon, but is voted a top doctor many times in top doctor magazines, what have you, or whatever those awards are about, and that he's a humanitarian. And that I was shunned basically my whole life. Gays would try to catfish me, females would try to get me to settle. Even in this culture that's very hyper materialistic. And back then there was a lot less millionaires and billionaires. And for the last 7 years, I'm not able to get a date, even though I've proven definitively in my top martial arts challenge that I'm the top martial artist, and people bow to me all the time, even though I'm targeted. You might have trouble believing that, but I've proven that it's true. If I was to tell you that I'm targeted, you might have trouble believing that, but I have 23 witnesses on record. So when we look at it in terms of believability, no serious psychologist or psychiatrist, would argue that, that you shouldn't believe somebody who's proven these things so definitively. If they did, they should lose their license, flat out. They should get their degree revoked or whatever the hell they can do, because that's ridiculous. Do they believe 1 + 1 = 2 in basic arithmetic? It's pretty straightforward. On top of that, everyone knows that the government is cracking down on people, canceling cultures with their political party allies. That things are basically merged with the government these days. So when you get to the issue of the fact that I'm Christ, you have to realize that the reason I'm targeted with a mind control experiment is because of that. It's not just because I'm black and I'm a brain surgeon's son. It's not because people can't beat me at martial arts when, it's easy for people to suppress videos, what have you. It's because that I'm Christ. So they can also try to use the angle of saying, oh, this guy thinks that because he's under mind control. But you have to consider my arguments. You have to consider the opposition view. Who would say that I'm magically wrong? Well, atheists, and we all know they're not too bright. People in churches, we all know that they have all kinds of ulterior motives. Some of them molest kids. They abuse their funds. They just build churches. They're white social norm types. They cater to the white Jews and LGBT communities first and foremost, then token minorities. Certain types of people in those groups that have money, that donate to churches, what have you. And as a result, they depict angels and himself. Obviously, the idea Jesus is superimposed on in the story. They depict them in a way that is similar to the governing class families that commission their churches, that govern them, that donated a lot of money to them. That is not a coincidence. People get married in church, and historically lots and lots of people were coerced into marriages, including in the West, and everyone knows it. Think about small towns historically in America, clan towns. How many marriages you think were the result of coercion, the result of fear? What happens if you reject a powerful clan member and you're from a clan town? These people terrorize people, and they rape people, and they rob people, and they kill people, and everyone knew it. And there were the police, there were the mayors, congressmen, you name it. So it's safe to say that the opposition view is completely discredited. They have a long history of terrorizing people, the Inquisition, religious wars. They've never had a logical argument as to why you should follow them. It's always based on communities and families' histories. So the families of people, quite often, not in every case, perhaps, but certainly quite often, that used to help the churches rape and harass people and abuse them, right, in the Klan, in the Inquisition, in the religious wars, you name it, maintain their religious heritage for generations, and they think that people should go to their church and come into their pecking orders. Clear cut. They are not believable at all. When they argue that miracles are magically literal, when you weren't there to see them, and they expect you to take that as proof. Why should you believe something you didn't see? Told to you by your oppressor, by colonists, for goodness sake, who have a long history of lying to people and cheating them. Propaganda types, theater arts, liars, deceivers, corrupt businessmen, you name it. So the opposition view is not credible. So now what is the truth of the matter? Should we not believe the Bible completely? Hey, it's not the end of the world if you don't believe the Bible at all. Where do things default if you don't believe the Bible at all? If you believe that there's a God, or you think that there's probably what there must be, which is a God, where do you default? You default with the Royal African Falcon Martial Order, because as you look around, you see people who are like fairy-like. You see people who are just normal people, regular people. You see people who are slightly spiritual. Then you see the most spiritual people, and clearly so, black people. Why they're called soul brothers. They're not called soul brothers because they go to church. Every race, so to speak, goes to church, has many members that goes to church. It's because they're naturally the most spiritual. Little kids should be able to tell you that. Compare Martin Luther King to Joel Osteen. What do you get? Joel Osteen may very well have more followers right now than Martin Luther King had back then. I don't know, because he has a super church. But Martin Luther King was obviously more clearly spiritual. Look at his last speech. Show me any Joel speech or any speech from any other race that's comparable. It doesn't exist. So it defaults with black people as a spiritual order. And America in the West has a long history of racism and being the most racist against black people. And that's not a coincidence. It was greed that caused them to kill many, many Native Americans. Okay? And they're racist against other races too, but they're most racist against black people. And so, who among black people, okay, what type of black people are the most spiritual black people? Let's think about this here. If you were to go to church and to try to be spiritual, would it help to do martial arts? Yes, why? Because it would make you a more serious person. Because Exodus 15:3 says the Lord is the warrior, the Lord is his name. It would give you the discipline to a higher degree. Would it help to join the military and the police? No, because they're whitewashed organizations. You have a flat top or something, even if you're black, you'll talk like a jock or something. That's police culture. It's not spiritual, it's shallow. That's military culture. It's not spiritual, it's shallow. I'm not saying to insult them. These are the facts here. This helps you understand that I'm believable. And there's a bunch of racists that don't want to said that way because they're racist, and there's racists who don't want to said that way because they don't want you to have the mental clarity to see that I'm right. So the most spiritual person would be somebody who's from a moral family and who does martial arts. And that takes us to the top martial arts argument. He also wants to put a light on a stand, or a lamp on a stand, as the Bible says. And that's me with my top martial arts challenge. So as you look around, everywhere, anywhere you go, you're not going to see someone who's more spiritual than I am. So for me to point these things out, and to say that the idea of someone who's God's son, who's the heavenly warrior who defeats the beast, is superimposed on me, is the default argument in a secular society. To anybody who's a serious social scientist, anyone who takes empirical evidence seriously. Imagine, for example, if every white person looked like Pee Wee Herman. Would you say, well, because you're white, you're going to assume that someone like Pee Wee Herman? No. So before any psychiatrist tries to play me out, for any political party, any social norm fanatics, for the racist LGBT people that even other LGBT people hate, try to play stupid and say, who does that? No, it's not how it's done. It's not how it works, and tries to enforce the psychological construct. Ask yourself, in reality, point blank, who is more believable? The top martial artist ever possible, who reaches the pinnacle of intelligence other people can't dream of? Even together, they can't come to that pinnacle. Or everyone else put together, who even put together aren't as smart as I am. Now, put together, they might come up with a better design for a car or this, and this. But when it comes to existential intelligence, when it comes to life logic, when it comes to coming to the realization of what is right and doing it, there are many groups out there, churches, political groups, police groups, gangs, you name it. Together, when they put their heads together, they did not come to the conclusion that they should do what is precisely right. No offense to anybody. These are the facts here. So when you look at who's more believable, it's the person who has the heart to tell the truth, Not groups of people when they come together who come to the conclusion to not tell the truth. Especially when they're Christians. When they say the truth will set you free, why aren't you telling the truth then? Because you're not smart enough. You're not wise enough. You don't fear God enough. You are liars. You are hypocrites. And as such, you are not as believable as I am. It's very simple, really. So when somebody says something like, oh, he thinks he's this or this, well, who is saying it to who? Some sheeple bitch saying it to the most believable person that ever lived? The son of a brain surgeon? This isn't brain surgery. As you rely on social norms and act like bitches, I emphasize these things more. And you get played out like bitches more. Okay, let's talk about how the wisdom of the world is confounded. So as I'm being fumed and poisoned and sabotaged, you must understand that they depict their false image of Christ, right? But they depict him on a cross more often than not. This is key here. It's in your subconscious. You know why it's fair, except for their false image isn't fair. It's fair to say that the sabotaged righteous man is greater than the rich man. Rich people are a dime a dozen. There's like 3 or 4 million of them here in California. There's 22.5 millionaires and billionaires in America. Just give me 22.5 million millionaires and billionaires in America. So when you look on the screen, you see Joel Osteen. And I'm not trying to single him out. He's who I remember quite often. If I knew who people look up to more or who were more famous to people, I would use different people. So no offense to Joel Osteen other than the offense that God intended. And there's some kind of other super pastor or rich person I came across who supposedly is a preacher. You know, according to the YouTube video I came across, he's depicted with some kind of fairly attractive looking female, right? And they're dressed all nice, and I guess he has a private plane or whatever. You know, why does this congregation put up with that, right? Instead of feeding the poor, you get a private plane. Why don't you just take a regular plane? You know, why do you need a mansion and all this? It's very straightforward. People have been talking about these things forever. But people still put up with it, right? Because we know when people get together as groups for whatever reason, they're like always dumber than hell. And as an individual, they're kind of smarter, but they're not a whole lot smarter because they make a decision to join a dumb group and to find their life in the world. So I was fumed very heavily in this video. And I'm sabotaged. And today I'm going to put another bumper sticker on my vehicle. We'll see how that goes. And it says something to the effect of a short righteous life is greater than a long wicked life. I'm going to double down on that. Okay, I've been thinking about this for a while. I didn't want to put too many bumper stickers. So there's that. So while I've been, living with my parents, fumed and poisoned, as the top martial artist ever possible, as someone who is far more logical of a spiritual leader than anyone you've ever heard of in human history, and anyone who ever will live, because of tech breeding, cheating, and generational ill-gotten gain ruling them out in the future. I'm shunned, and he gets the fair-weather chick. I don't want a fair-weather chick. Being with a fair-weather chick is like being married to a female who cheats on you every day. They may as well be cheating on you every day with a little kid. You gonna stay in that marriage? So why would you stay in a marriage with someone who doesn't love you? Because you're too shallow and childish and perverted to not be single rather than being with a fair-weather slut. That's pathetic. And then how you got her is in the most despicable way. She's not a trophy because you got her with blood money. You got her with lying. You got her with being evil. And we'll say for the rules on YouTube, not necessarily referring to the people on the screen. I'm sure you can come to your own conclusions in that regard. They got there from serving the devil. And the devil is a leader of those who are like unruly women, as the proverb says, and who have the hearts of children. They're children. They're unruly little girls. So who's more believable? The guy who's carrying his cross in reality, who they can't beat at a debate? Or some super church people that the government props up, who probably split some of the money with the government to maintain their racket? It came out, in the news that the Trump administration and other administrations, Um, they have certain relationships with churches. At least, before Trump, I guess they were saying, but it's still going on, obviously, that they're funding religious organizations to support certain ideas, like politicians, like their agendas. So I think we can all agree that I'm the most believable person. Okay, if you don't understand that, watch this video again. If you don't agree, put in the comments. And so this is part of why they resort to suppressing my videos. Because my spirit is greater than theirs. They're just some kind of fair weather worm, like some rich guy's fair weather wife. That's not respectable. Being a gold digger is not respectable. People think they're better off trying to find their life in the world as some kind of gold digging worm. Some kind of gender neutral gold digger, or this or that, in that sense, a gold digger nonetheless. And for those of you who might think that the LGBT community should be mad at me, I want them to put in the comments why they think they should be mad at me. I don't deal in fairy tales. I deal in universal logic. If you think that you're right and I'm wrong about something, put in the comments. You think that people should lie to you and not tell you how they actually feel? You think people shouldn't have an open mind? You think people shouldn't be righteous to the best of their ability? If you're mad at me for that, and you're always going to be mad at me for that, then go ahead and be mad at me. Why should I change? Because you're evil.